All right, good evening. It's 5 p.m. It's November 17th, 2025. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Argyle ISD Board of Trustees. At this time, we will determine if a quorum is present.
Leona McDade, present.
Josh Western, present.
Rich McDowell, present.
Leanne Orville, present.
Matt Slayton, present.
Craig Hawksworth, present.
I, Sam Slater, present. We do have a quorum established. And under the authority of the Texas Government Code 551, Subchapter D, the board will now go into closed session at 5:01 p.m. to discuss 551.074 personnel matters and public officers, 551.071 consultation with attorney, 551.082 student and employee disciplinary matter and complaint, and 551.072 deliberation regarding real property. Good evening, time 6:10 p.m. We have returned from executive session.
Okay, do our pledges?
Yep.
So it's November, obviously, and last week we all honored Veterans Day across campuses, across the district. So we have invited some of our veterans in our community to lead our pledges tonight. We actually were going to have Command Sergeant Major Gretchen Evans and her husband, retired Navy Chaplain Bob Evans, but they had a family emergency this weekend and had to leave the state. So we are going to be led by trustee veteran Rich McDowell. And if we have any other veterans in our staff here tonight with us, we would ask you to join us in leading us in the pledges, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honoring the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, and one indivisible.
Thank you, Mr. McDowell.
Yeah, you didn't wait. He took off.
He took off. Well, thank you to all the veterans in our community and you, Mr. McDowell, for leading us in our pledges. We appreciate your service. All right, Mr. Hawksworth, if you'll lead us in prayer, please.
Sure. Dear Lord, we come to you tonight and ask for you to be involved in the decisions that we make. Please share our gratefulness and appreciation with the staff and the administrative staff, the community members, and all that goes into making this such a wonderful district. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. We have
All right,
recognitions.
we do have a special recognition tonight. So we have the Argyle South Elementary Executive Board here with our PTA. So if y'all would all please stand, we're going to have a few words for you and want to share some celebrations. We have with us tonight President Casey Tidwell and executive board members Jamie. We have Jamie Margiotti, Lauren McNaughton, Jennifer Punzalan, Ashley Doolin, Stephanie Reese, Lauren Staley, Melissa De Rosario, Lacey Arthur, and Andrea Spinolo with us this evening. And so we found out not too long ago, well, they found out and shared the great news with us that the Texas PTA recognized them being for the highest year-over-year membership growth percentage in the entire state of Texas. We have nearly 700 members for the South PTA, and I think our enrollment, what's your enrollment, Ms. Haynes? Just a little over 7, right? And so we have that is incredible. This accomplishment reflects the dedication, obviously, and the outstanding PTA partnership from this board, but also the families that are served by South. They're creative, they have engaging ideas, they do incredible things like Pie Your Principal. I think have you been a part of that, I believe? Grandparents luncheon, coffee chats with principals, trunk or treat, you name it, they have done it and inspired a lot of people for that. So thank you for fostering all of the collaboration and volunteerism in our community, and we just want to especially recognize you, Ms. Tidwell, and your board, and everyone else that's a part of that. It's a great honor, and we're proud to have you in our district. So thank you all.
Been there. Act like you've been there, man. Act like you've been there.
Just disappointed.
Here we go again.
First, public hearing.
Liz, you ready?
Don't play here, don't play here, play right there.
Okay. So every year, school districts are required to hold a public hearing for their school first ratings. School first ratings were finalized recently, and so we're having our public hearing tonight. I am going to go through some of these slides and summarize some of them. The information is out there if you want to read word for word what everything is. I'd be happy for any of you to do that at any point, and you can stop me if you want to go over something in a little more detail. First, though, is the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas. It was developed in '99. Our ratings for the 24-25 year, which is what we're talking about tonight, is based on data from the 23-24 year. So as you know, as school districts send in their data, the year is already closed. It's after the fact. It's after data has been audited. So we're actually looking and talking about data that is 2 years old at this point. We are at 23 years, so for every year that this has been out there, our school district has been rated at the highest rating. As you can see, they're graded similar to grades in school, right? You've got A, B, C, and then F. So for the superior achievement, we've got to stay between the 90 and 100 rating. There's 21 total indicators. Over the past several years, some of those indicators haven't been graded due to some things that came out of COVID and some different things. We have one indicator that's still like that where every district scored a 10. I'll point that out when we get through there. But there's 4 critical, 6 ceiling, and then 11 that are indicated on a measured point scale. So we have indicators 1 through 4 are pass-fail. They are all critical. So basically it's, did you submit your audit on time? Was your audit opinion unmodified? Were you compliant with all of your debt payment terms? And were you making timely payments to all of governmental entities like TRS and IRS? So we passed all of those. Then we move on to 5 and 6, which are ceiling indicators. Basically looking at your statement of net position on your balance sheet and looking at the change in fund balance. And we passed both of those. When you get to 7, that's looking at our cash on hand. Can it fund for the school district sufficiently to cover operating expenses? And of course, you get to exclude facilities acquisition and construction in those calculations. We looked at current assets to current liabilities. You also look at your cash on hand. Is it greater than 60 days? So that's a big indicator for the state. We scored full points on all of those. So number 10, this is the one that all ISDs received a 10 on. So of course, did the school district average less than 10% variance when comparing budget revenues to actual revenues for the last 3 fiscal years? And that's been a continued thing since COVID that everybody's received a 10 on. It's either been no score or 10. Okay, 11 through 13, you're looking at long-term solvency with an exception for growth on this one on number 11. You're looking at your debt payments compared to your TAV. On this one, if you'll notice, we had a 6. This is the only indicator that we scored down on. It's actually higher than we scored the year before. The year before was a 4. We moved up to a 6. This will go up and down in that score as our enrollment and property values go up compared to how much debt we have issued. So when we get to the year, we just had a large issue this past year. When we get to that year, we'll come down a couple of points. Then you'll move back up the next couple of years. It'll be a continuing cycle. And then, 12 was administrative cost ratios. Are we within a range that the state funds for administrative costs? All right. 14 talks about declining enrollment, which we are not. 15 talks about ADA. Are we within the comparison range? So every biennium, the state puts out what they think our ADA should be for the next 2 years. We have a chance to go in there and say, no, we think it's going to be this, or higher or lower, and we are graded on the range of that and how tight we stay to that range. So 16 and 17 are both ceiling indicators. You have PEMS data. Is it close to your actual audited data? Is it within a 3% range? Is your audit free of material weaknesses? So we passed both of those. Starting with 18, you've got, is your audit free of material non-compliance? Then they're gonna look at, did we post everything that we were required to on our website? Continuing on to 20, it talks about the, did we, within 120 days before we adopted the budget, did the administration discuss with the board certain changes in funding, whether it was at the state, federal, or local level? So if you remember when we talk about our budget workshops or we have a budget update and I point out, remember this is a required discussion, even if we talked about it over and over again, we're gonna still continue to talk about it and make sure that we hit that 120 mark. 21 is a ceiling. Basically making sure that you haven't had to add an adjustment for a repayment schedule, which we do not, so we passed. And we're at 96, so that indicator 12 was the only one that we were marked down on. Again, it was better than it had been the year before, and it will continue to fluctuate. There are some required disclosures for the superintendent and for board members that you must make, and it's based on payments for school business. So did you have to travel or go to training for school business or go to a school event? And there's different categories there that are required to be listed. Continuing required disclosure, we didn't have any on outside compensation and fees for the superintendent. We also have required disclosures that for the next two that we don't have anything for, and these are common that we don't have anything for on any of those for every year. And then the last required disclosure is that superintendent's contract be on the website, which it is and has been. So that is a quick recap of that financial first rating. Do you have questions about anything? And it is public hearing, so any questions from anybody? All right, if not, then we'll close the public hearing. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Liz.
Mr.
All right, we're gonna move into the public forum section of tonight's meeting. I think we have 7 people signed up. We're gonna change it up, because we're gonna do 4 minutes, okay? I'm gonna set that. Great, awesome. All right, here's my reading. All right, we'll now move into the public forum portion of tonight's meeting. Please note that board policy requires speakers to sign up in person before the meeting is called to order. During this portion of the meeting, board members will listen to comments, but as the designated spokesperson, only the president may respond to the speaker if needed and refer concerns to the appropriate administrator. Speakers can comment on agenda items, but trustees will not be able to discuss the items until they are before the board during the meeting. Board policy BED local provides the presiding officer the ability to adjust the time allotted per speaker for effective meeting management. Pursuant to that policy, an individual's comments to the board at tonight's meeting shall not exceed 5 minutes. The presiding officer may reduce the allotted time for each individual to speak to no less than 1 minute for effective meeting management. Speakers are not allowed to receive time from other individuals. Tonight, each speaker will receive 4 minutes. Specific complaints about individual district personnel are to be processed through the district's grievance policies as set out in district policies DBA, FNG, and/or GF. Speakers are not permitted to refer to individual students or employees by name during the public comment period. Additionally, if you have a pending grievance that may come before the board in a level 3 hearing, please refrain from addressing the topic of your grievance except through the grievance process per BED board or per board policy BED and this board's operating procedures. The board will not allow disruption of the board meeting by members of the public. If after one warning from the presiding officer, any person continues to disrupt the meeting by words or actions, the person will be removed from the meeting. Whew. All right. All right, Mrs. DeVee. Good evening.
Hello.
You know the drill.
I know the drill, but I'm going to talk really fast.
No, it's fine. You have 4 minutes and you'll be notified when you have 1 minute left.
Great. You all know who I am, and I'm Sarah DeVee. I've lived in Argyle for over 20 years. I've had 3 boys who started kindergarten here and have all graduated. And of course, all loved being Eagles. Congrats to these PTA and PTO members. You guys have put yourself on the team, and you're really, truly appreciated. And thank you, Liz, for all your hard work. There's no questions, obviously. So our youngest is in 7th grade, and we are looking forward to exciting new and old opportunities at the 377 High School. And no matter what, we are confident it's going to be a great experience. I do not envy you this choice that you have to make regarding our name, mascot, and colors. As you know, we all get really excited about these sorts of things, and I even sent in a Google response recommendation to be the Golden Eagles. Let's see, let me find my spot. I think there's a lot of us who would love to hold on to that Eagle mascot, but as time has gone on and as I've talked to more people, it seems like, especially if we're going to have a third high school perhaps, that it could just get too confusing to have the same mascot. Plus, no one is too keen on the idea of gold unless you mix it with blue and white. As far as feedback that I've gotten in the community, we've got a big group of middle school boys and girls who want a total new identity, and they've talked about Falcons, Hawks, and even the Red Hawks, along with a red, black, and silver color scheme. After talking to the Stuco sponsor at Hilltop, she said that her kids love the idea of staying Eagles, and if they couldn't be that, then they want to be the pink flamingos. So kudos to them for originality for sure. The other feedback that I've gotten was from Kyle Carey, who posted on the Proud Parents Facebook group that has over 1,300 followers, a particular post on this topic which garnered over 100 comments. Overwhelmingly, the feedback was leaning towards Hawks, especially Red Hawks paired with the name Argyle Legacy High School, with some stating red, black, and silver, or light blue, blue, and red. Think Ole Miss or Liberty University colors. And there's some great comments on that post, and I'm happy to send that to you guys in an email. Also, the most common hawks in Texas are the red-tailed and red-shouldered hawk, and those are the ones that we see around here diving for prey, and just the ones that are just the most common. And lastly, and most importantly, I appreciate your service and your time, and no matter what you choose, you'll have my full support, and I believe the support of those in our community as well. I just want to encourage you that throughout this whole process to continue to make sure that the kids have input, not just from the student council, but from the sports teams and other groups as well, and how they want to build our culture at our schools through traditions, events, and activities. They're the ones that matter the most, as you know. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Moore. It's a weird side for you to be on.
We only get 4 minutes, I thought I got 5.
You need two.
For
I'll be done
those
in
who
two.
don't know,
I'll be done in
Mr. Moore served this Argyle AISD Board of Trustees for 19 years.
I forgot.
Okay. But anyway.
Thank you for taking my place.
Yeah. Yes, sir. All right, Mr. Moore, the floor is yours.
I don't have much to say, but I do want to say thank you for y'all, the staff, these people that I do not know, but y'all are carrying on what being an Eagle means. And it's a great day to be an Eagle. I don't keep up with social media like Sarah does. I've known Sarah a good while. But my comments are about the campus at 377 and the naming. And I just feel like I need to come and say what I feel. And I thank you for that time. That campus is in Argyle. That was the Argyle High School. That was the Argyle Eagles. And my input is that's what it needs to be. It's within the city limits. The third school, if there is a third school, y'all's decision. What city limits will that be in? I'm not sure. Y'all may not be sure. This one's not in Argyle city limits. So as we look down the road when I'm gone and a lot of these other people are gone, Argyle High School is in a different town than actually Argyle, and then we have a different school in Argyle. It sounds pretty confusing to me. I just figured out that it was a good time to come and speak tonight, so I didn't have much to look at about other schools around the state that have a city or town's name that's actually outside of that city or town. I do realize that changing your mascot, your colors, and all that is a big financial undertaking. I do understand that. And I just wanted to come and I wanted to see this place full of people. I haven't seen it. It's very nice. And thank y'all for the job y'all are doing. Y'all have had a lot on your plate for the last 6 years, and it will continue. And let's just keep being Eagles, and then when we become something else, we'll just carry that to the other campus, whatever name it is. But I appreciate it, and things are going pretty good right now. Mr. Bird and Mr. Rogers And I don't know the volleyball coach, but I think they're doing pretty good themselves. And I just appreciate the time, and I give you 1 minute and 35.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. All right, Jerry Haferly. All right. Good evening. Whenever you'd like to begin, the floor is yours, and then when you have 1 minute left, you'll be notified.
Okay, that's fine. My name's Terry Haefele. I live at
I'm sorry.
117.
I apologize.
I'm sorry.
Terry.
Terry.
Sorry.
117 Shadowwood Drive. The reason I wanted to come tonight was just to ask you to think long and hard about acquisition of White Rock Farms for a middle school. Our little neighborhood, which has been there longer than any of the schools have been, is already inundated with trash, noise, excessive lighting, traffic, water erosion. We're already hit with a lot of things. And if you build a middle school over there, that means that our little neighborhood is surrounded by schools. We will never have a moment's peace from noise, traffic. The traffic's already so bad, I cringe every time I have to get out on Harpole and get down to 377 and the buses are coming. My neighbor's wife has been hit twice by a bus pulling onto Harpole because the road isn't wide enough to accommodate the traffic of the buses, which it was never supposed to do to begin with. And neighbors just to the east of me have had serious erosion caused by water, the drainage, everything that has been changed in the area is causing her farmland to flood, to erode. She's had horses fall in ditches that have been created. And I just think since the growth is going to be limited on the east side of 377, there's got to be a better option for a middle school, or do we even need another middle school if we've got one already planned down in First Ranch area? So we don't want to see increased traffic, noise, and everything else that comes with it. And I just hope you'll reconsider that, putting two schools that close together and basically just caging us into an area. We already have a lot of traffic that comes down 407 going west toward Harvest, that at rush hour, they cut back off Gibbons and Harpole and back even through our neighborhood to go to the light there at 377 and Harpole to avoid the traffic at the light at 407 and 377. So it's already more traffic than, I guess, Harpole is considered a secondary feeder. It can't handle this kind of traffic, and it's gonna just get worse when you end up with a high school with teens driving, and then you end up middle school with all the drop-offs there, sports goings on. It's gonna be a nightmare, and I hope you'll reconsider that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Sunil Patel. Good evening.
Hello, good evening. Thank you.
The floor is yours, and when you have 1 minute left, you'll be notified.
Oh, terrific, thank you. So, board members, again, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Sunil Patel. I have been a resident with my family for at least a decade here in Argyle, and we love it. And so I'm here to talk about agenda item 2B1, the proposed purchase of approximately 50 acres of Block A of White Rock Farm Addition. First, I'm not against at all planning for the growth or buying of land when it's needed. Strong schools require the foresight and the planning, which I believe the planning it is important, and you are doing it right now. So what concerns me here, though, is how this is being done. In what I've read online, is in the whether it be the minutes or the documentation that is laid out on the board site, it was effectively stated that this would be executive session item with very little public explanation about what this land will actually become and how it will affect the people who live around it. For my family, it's across the street from White Rock Farm Edition. Under the Texas Government Code 551072, you may go into closed session to protect your negotiating position on price. But may does not mean must on this, and it doesn't require that the whole policy conversation, why this location, why 50 acres, what will be used for, and how it fits in your long-range plan, happens behind closed doors. As I've mentioned, I live on a street that will likely carry much of the traffic for this site. That said, we've already seen in Argyle how road projects tied to growth can lead to eminent domain. I don't know exactly what that might mean for my home or my neighbors, and that uncertainty is exactly why we need more transparency before you commit to this purchase. This will be a major school, which means heavy car and bus traffic twice a day, cars stacking in front of driveways, more cut-through traffic, years of construction, and possible drainage changes. Those are reasonable, foreseeable impacts, and families on these streets deserve to see the plan and respond to it before the land and deal is finalized. So I'm asking you to do 3 things. First, explain in open session the intended use and timeline for this property and how it fits into your long-range facilities and enrollment plans. 2, describe the road and traffic implications in plain language.
1 minute.
What changes do you anticipate to our streets and right-of-way? And 3, table this resolution tonight and schedule a public workshop so you can walk the community and the town through your land and traffic strategy before you finalize the purchase. You can negotiate in price in private, but permanent decisions about Argyle's future should be made with the community, not around it. I urge you to slow this down and move as much of this discussion as possible into the open. Thank you very much for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I don't mess up another name. I apologize. I can't read the last name. Linda. Truco Adu. I got you. Come on, don't.
Better than one.
All right.
Thank you very much for letting us speak here today. I also am here to speak on the White Rock Farm off of Harpole Road and 377 corridor. My husband Vic and I have lived here a long time, and we've put 5 kids through the school that is directly behind our house, which is now, of course, no longer high school, but going back that direction soon, we hear, and we hope. We love having that school right behind our house. We love the energy, the excitement, the atmosphere, but with that and the access going into the school and out of the school, the growth with the CVS pharmacy, all the commercial properties off of 407 that are now new, coming all the way down to our street on Harpole. You're talking about the northern boundary of the existing school behind our house, right next to Sunil and Betsy, by the way. We are also on Shadowwood Drive in Shadowwood Estates. There are 40 beautiful homes that have been there a long time. You're talking about the northern boundary of that school, existing school, being less than 75 feet from the proposed southern boundary of the new property, or the property that the school is interested in purchasing. I can't really understand or believe that there are not better options that don't encumber a neighborhood and an area and such a short, small corridor from the commercial properties from the corner of 407 all the way down to the township buildings. The traffic, you have to literally wait the clock down or go very early in order to try to even have access to 377. I understand that the school has made some purchases of some properties that are not surrounded by existing neighborhoods. To me, those would be by far better options. I would encourage you, just as my neighbors, Terry Hayfley and Sunil and Betsy Patel, I would encourage you to strongly consider alternatives and make this the last option.
1 minute.
Anyway, thank you so much, and I appreciate this opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Siggins. Good evening.
How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Thanks for letting me come up and speak. I too want to address the option of buying the White Rock Farms. I live right directly across from it on Harpole, and my driveway actually exits to Harpole. And it is difficult to get out of the driveway in the mornings or in the afternoons with the traffic that's going through there now. I have a daughter that's or I shouldn't say daughter, I have a granddaughter that lives with me that's in Argyle High School. And I watch her every morning as she pulls out of the driveway, and twice I've seen her almost get hit. New driver, inexperienced, but the traffic just goes way beyond the 30-mile-an-hour speed limit up there. Our worst offender that I like to jokingly talk about is the mailman. He does 50 miles an hour up that street every day. And it's only going to get worse if we put another school in that area. I agree with what Linda said, that with the properties that are out along Robson Ranch Road, it's much more open. Our area is very, very congested. I don't mind the junior high school being there now. It's kind of fun to hear the football games from a distance, but I certainly don't want two of them coming at me from both sides. And I wonder, and I don't know the answer to this, I haven't researched it, I just found out about this project late this afternoon. I wonder what it's going to do to our property values too. My daughter lives in Highland Park, and if you've ever been down in Highland Park around any of the football type games, it is just a nightmare. Granted, those streets are smaller, the lots are smaller. It's one of the reasons I moved out here 25 years ago, is I wanted a large lot. I wanted to get away from all of that city. So I hope that you just consider some of these other properties before you look at White Rock Farms. I know Stan would love to sell that. I consider him a personal friend. He's like me. He's not a spring chicken, but there's got to be other options that you guys could explore that would be better for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And, Tom DeAngelo.
Hello, and thank you all. I know a few of you up there. This is my first endeavor into this space, so please have patience on the way I handle this. I also just learned about what was going on through our local community outreach, and that was today. So I didn't do homework. Mr. Patel did. I really appreciate that. He clearly had a little more insight into this, but yeah, I'm about growth. You guys who know me, I'm definitely into growth. I'm definitely into supporting what Argyle needs to do, but there is no way to get a good flow of traffic out of that new property. You've got to come on Harpole. I mean, you can come out to 377 the way the current school does, but we see what that's like. It's a problem. So I think addressing the current school for the growth of more traffic in the senior high, the high school, needs to be addressed with either widening Harpole or making better in and access off of 377, but adding a whole nother school, I don't see a resolution with the traffic flow. Not to mention what my neighbors talked about, just erosion, land, values, and just bringing more and more traffic to an area that wasn't designed for that. So again, I'd like to thank you for everything, all your efforts, all your work that you're putting in, but please consider looking at other options for this school. And then finally, I would really like to echo Mr. Patel's ask that we bring this into open forum. We bring this into a little more light. We slow down any decisions until we can talk about this a little further, have a little more discussion, data, shared data, plans would be welcome by your neighbors. So thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes public forum comments for this evening. Move into 8A. That's B.
That's B.
That's B.
It's okay. Yeah, you don't have anything for that one. Yeah, you don't have anything for that one.
So 8A's up first.
8A's
And that's
first.
the land.
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions?
Are we on 8A?
Comments?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is the resolution to authorize the purchase of real property,
Yes.
Yes.
which we just heard about. Yes, I do have comments on that. And I guess I can't, or not supposed to direct any comments directly at any public speakers, but I appreciate everybody showing up and speaking, and sharing perspective on, what a potential purchase like that and how it may impact them. I think I just want to shed some light on the different maybe challenges that we face here and give you maybe a little bit of history of where we've been. In 22, when I got on the board, we had one tract of land that was donated to the district in Harvest. It was 23 acres, and that's the only land the school district had in 2022. And through the blessings of voters and the bonds, we've been pretty transparent about this. We need to go get more land, and I think everybody's agreed that that's a priority for the district as the growth comes, and the voters have blessed us with the resources to go acquire that land, and that's what we've been doing. So, we bought 50 acres on 407 that's actively under development. We bought 35 acres in First Ranch with another 15-acre donation, so 50 there. And we just closed a few weeks ago on 128 acres out in North Lake by Robeson Ranch. And just to give you a little bit of my feelings on it is, with the exception of First Ranch, because nobody lives there, we didn't hear anything. But when we closed on 407, we heard a lot. There was a lot of people similar, like they didn't really want us there. And when we closed on 128 acres out in North Lake, we've heard that we're not wanted there either. I want the community to know that there's a lot of time spent on looking at where to buy land and where to situate schools. And it's not, there's a lot of considerations that go into that. When you're looking at schools, you need a willing seller primarily. Now we can go in and I guess the school district could exercise this awesome power that it has, which is condemnation or eminent domain, and we can sue landowners that are unwilling to sell. And we can take that risk, that delay, and that expense unknown in litigation and pursue those. Or we can search for willing sellers. And so you typically start there. And then you look at locations. And when you look at locations, you look at, okay, well, transportation, roads, access, sewer, water, topography, shape, land use, zoning. You look at all those things. And so you can go look at a map and you can go, this is a nice big tract of land over here on 1830. It's a good road. It's got no sewer and water. It's not even anywhere close. And you can't build schools without sewer and water. You can go look over here and you can see another tract of land that may be large, which is what we need, and you go, that looks good, but it may be zoned for high density residential, that some developers already got approved for high density residential. Well, guess what? They're not a willing seller. Or if you're gonna force them to sell it to you in eminent domain, they're gonna make you buy it by the lot. So there's a price consideration involved in that. You may find another piece of land on a nice 2 roads and they'll say, well, that's commercial retail. And so there's a price factor if you go out and buy schools that are zoned for commercial retail. There's a big price you pay for that. And they're usually not willing sellers. And so, I want people to understand that, when you're looking at what's available out there, where to situate schools. And when it comes to commercial land, and you go, hey, go situate this on 35. Well, we don't really want to take that 50 acres or 100 acres off the commercial tax rolls. Because once you put a school on a big old commercial tract, you lose that commercial tax revenue for not only the town, but for the district forever. And so you have to factor that in. And so I want everybody to know in this community and in this room that there's just so many different considerations and balancing act that goes into site selection. There is no perfect site out there. I may have good roads, no utilities. I may have utilities, I may have bad roads. And so it inevitably, and even when I find a good site, or y'all find a good site, or somebody finds a good site, you get people that go, well, we don't want you. You may have local opposition. You may have people that say we don't want to be near a school, which is understandable. Some people don't want to live near schools. And so you can have all those things and you're going to meet with that resistance. People bring up zoning a lot. And they say, I want everybody to understand, there's a reason schools aren't subject to zoning. There's a good reason for that. I mean, the government has said that we're obligated to educate children within the boundaries of our district. And therefore they don't let cities just zone you out of building schools. And so you may say, hey, that's rural residential. Most of the land we bought is rural residential. The land in First Ranch is in rural residential. The land on 407 was rural residential. The land in North Lake was rural residential. And I think this land in Harpool is kind of rural residential. And that goes back to what I'll tell you. The reason it's because developers don't sell high density. If they got the zoning, they're not going to sell it to you. They're not willing. And so they're more inclined to sell their rural residential land than they are their high density. When you look at roads and the Harpool site, yeah, I travel it. I've sat at the Harpool intersection with the buses on the other side going, I'm never going to get through this intersection at drop off. And it isn't lost on us. But people think the 407 site's a bad location because it's too congested. That's not lost on us. But then they think roads like Sam Davis and Harpool are not suitable for schools because they're too rural and underdeveloped. So I have FM roads like 407 that people don't want you to build on. And then you go, well, then I got rural roads like Sam Davis and Harpool people don't want you to build on. And you're just going, guys, there's really the only 2 types of roads we have. We got to build to something. And so I want people to understand that perspective, is that those roads are congested because there's lots of kids in those cars. And if you think, those roads are congested, you should probably naturally think that our hallways are likewise congested. So all of those things I want you to know about site selection are not lost on us. I'm not afraid to talk about, what goes into land considerations or planning. But school, I mean, we don't hire engineers in advance and architects to go design these sites in advance of owning them. So when you ask, well, what is the school planning for that site? Well, we hadn't got there because we hadn't approved an architect, we haven't approved an engineer yet. That's down the road after you close on the land. So in terms of like, well, what do you plan to do? Well, the next thing after you buy it is you hire an architect, and then you see a site plan, and that's when the community has a lot of opportunity to have feedback on what that may look like. That's when you go, you can file those site plans with the town, and there's back and forth that goes in on that. That's when you'll understand, I believe, what the plan would be for Harpool, a road like Harpool. Is in the site planning process, and the site planning just doesn't occur before you close on the land. I suppose it probably could, but you could end up spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on site planning and then go by and realize, well, we're not going to close on that and close on something else. So I don't know that the district could really sit here and say, well, here's the plan. Here's what Harpool is going to look like, because the town's going to have a lot of say on that. I mean, that's a city street. I would like to think it's going to be improved. When you talk about traffic studies, you want to know that's another process that occurs in the site planning development phase long after closing. But there will be a traffic study done. Jeff, our construction manager, but I believe we do a traffic study on every site. Pretty much on every site, yes. And there would be a traffic study done on this that would be, is it filed with the town?
It goes to the town, yes. They review it. They have their engineers.
If you're gonna keep asking questions,
He's
he's
gotta
gotta come up there.
Oh, okay. And so, some of these things that you would like, and I understand it, is stuff that will be done before that site ever develops, that will allow for a lot of communication and input about how it's done and what needs to be done. So I hope I don't sound insensitive. I mean, in terms of like what the concerns are. I just wanted to share some, like, hey, there's a lot of considerations and balancing act that goes into it. And, we're all, I think the district has been looking for land with really good roads, with sewer and water that have no traffic on them. And they're just not out there. And so that's kind of my comments on the resolution, why I think moving forward with acquiring this property would be the right.
It pains me to say that was a very good explanation. You
Yeah.
did a great
It was
job,
long,
I think,
so.
of drawing light to all the things that we look at, that we have to look at. I think you also made the point that once a property is acquired is when all the work and the planning begins. That's a little different than the commercial world, where they'll go in, like you mentioned, and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that on the front end. We don't have that. We don't have that luxury in a school district. It seems odd. There's a lot of things, I will tell you, in my 11 plus years of sitting in this chair, that there's a lot of things about the way a school district's forced to do things that seem odd to me. I would never personally do it that way, but we're bound by certain rules and things that we have to do. So I think once the property is acquired, that's when all that discussions and all that, those meetings can take place. You mentioned the town, you mentioned traffic studies, community as well, input into what that might look like or what that might not look like. I did want to address the transparency piece about talking about it could be looked at in executive session, but it doesn't have to be. Again, having sit in this chair for a while, and to your point, Mr. Western, when you came on the board in 2022, we had one piece of land. It wasn't for lack of effort, I can assure you. We tried to buy land, and every time we tried to buy a large enough parcel of land in Argyle, and we were completely open, and hey, that's the piece we're gonna buy, and we're gonna do this, guess what? Mr. Developer comes along, knocks on the door and says, I'll give you 20% more than they want. So we had, Liz may be the only one that was here today, but we had 2 or 3 properties pulled right out from underneath us because of that. So it's not a thing, a personal step or a intentional step to hide something from the community. That's not the case. It's really to protect our ability to find the right piece of property, or the one with the fewest limitations, as Mr. Western was mentioning, and get it, because there aren't those pieces of property anymore that aren't already cited for developments or neighborhoods. So when we find one, man, we have to be very targeted, very specific, and be ready to move.
And tonight is an example of, this is the first step in the public.
Yeah, this is just
process of it.
and this is an approval if some things get worked out to move to that step. We're not there, and I just, as Mr. Western said, I want to assure you that we don't make these decisions overnight. We've been talking about this for a long time, and so I just wanted to say that, and to let you know that we've learned from past mistakes and how to do it or how not to do it. We've learned, and every time this group changes, somebody else has got to learn. So I appreciate your concerns, and I understand them. I do. That's kind of what we're faced with. So.
I don't want to leave anybody here, or anybody that's listening, to think that the conversation about what happens on this site ends because this resolution may be approved.
It's just starting.
The conversation about what may happen out here and when and how and what it looks like is just, I mean, this would be an asset. If it were to close, it would be an asset on the district's books, and I want to hear the feedback. I think our construction management and administration would love to hear the feedback, the concerns. And I do think that as you have that open communication, I think confidence and trust will build about, what the vision may be and what the plan may be as it comes to fruition. So.
I was gonna say too, I mean, this is like my 9th year on the board, and been involved in a lot of executive session, if you will, land discussions. And they have to be that way for the very reasons that you both stated. Because if you make those public, somebody can just come in and outbid you, or, try to, raise the price up or things like that. But the other piece too is when you think big picture for land, I mean, we've all talked about this, but when you think big picture for land and you think about residential, or what's the word I'm looking for?
Commercial or industrial.
No,
high density.
attendance boundaries amongst or between schools, between campuses. You can't buy land here and right here and say, well, these two are going to be 2 elementary schools, because then trying to build a boundary for attendance and who's going to go where. Well, I want to go there because that school's right across from my house, but no, you have to go to the one over here or on the other side. So you almost have to look at it. I always say I fly at 30,000 feet, and you just kind of look at an overview of the entire district, and there are so many factors, like both of these gentlemen have said, that you guys that come into play, and there is no perfect piece of land anywhere, and it's getting scarcer and scarcer as we move on, and you try and make the best decision you can with with what's available all the time, I mean that's just part of this, and this resolution gives Dr. Carpenter, if we approve it, would give Dr. Carpenter the ability to sign off on that on behalf of the district. And so, that may not necessarily be happening tomorrow, but it just is what it is. We have to move things in steps. So Anyway, that's what I have to say.
And long-range plan, again, we don't know, we know what growth is projected to be. And that's ever-changing, but it's minutely changing. And so looking at the future of this district could be 9 elementaries, 3 middle schools, 3 high schools. But we look at the amount of land that's available in our area, and it is rapidly depleting. So one of the charges that we heard from the community was to have forethought, to have a long-range plan, to be able to look ahead and not be behind the curve where you're beholden to the highest dollar price because it's the only thing that's there and it's what you have, but to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars and look at growth. And so thankfully through the passage of bonds, we as a district have funds to be able to fiscally and responsibly buy land and plan for future growth for boards that will be represented by completely different people on land potentially in the future that we're purchasing today. So so with today's dollars, not specifically this tract, but just land that we're purchasing. So definitely sensitive to all discussions on land and acquisition of land and building schools and traffic and infrastructure and safety. I've lived in Argyle for going on 18 years, and to say that growth is not happening, it is. Way back in the day, I did driver's ed out here because this is where you drove to, because there was nothing out here. It was safe to drive out here. I'm working with my youngest right now, who's a sophomore here at the high school, teaching her how to drive. She's my last one going through dad driving school, and it's been a different experience with each girl. In safety, and that's a huge concern, and definitely something that goes into everything that we do, but specifically around traffic and safety for our kids and for our community. So just don't want that to fall, don't want that not to be said. So, but appreciate again everyone coming up here and speaking tonight, and echo what Mr. Westrom said. And in any process that we do, whether it be about land or curriculum or colors, mascots, anything, one of the things we want to pride ourselves on as a board in its current state is transparency, and want to be available and want to talk and want to hear feedback. So definitely welcome that and appreciate everyone taking their time to be here tonight, and for those that are watching on the live stream. So any further questions, discussion?
I mean, the one thing I'm just gonna say, the other thing I'm gonna say is that there is this, that as it relates to our schools and residential compatibility. Now, one thing I want our community to recognize is that most schools are situated in residential areas. I've thought about this, and I went, the schools that I kind of know off the top of my head that are not, I think are pretty ill situated, and they would probably do it over, like Northwest High School on 114, Highway 114. I don't think they would build that there right now.
Braswell.
I don't think they shouldn't have built Braswell on 380 in the corner of commercial land. I mean, that's a tough place for a high school to be. And so I think most of the time residential land, and where we're sitting today is in a large residential community with a high school and an elementary school in it. And it's existed well. Where our middle school sits on 377, it's got low density behind it. It's got low density to the north of it, and since then the Oaks came in, and it's been a largely successful higher density community right next to that school. And I understand the concern because I'm a homeowner, but I haven't seen those property values suffer because of their proximity to that 377 campus. And so, you know, we have two elementary schools sitting in Harvest pretty close to each other. And we did things, and we worked and made accommodations to make the traffic that work better. And I just want the community to know that, yeah, the challenge with this site is the access, no doubt about it. And there will have to be lots of consideration about how to improve that should this property develop. Because I would agree, I don't think it can develop with another school with the current road infrastructure like it is. And I would expect that to change.
Mr. Slayton, do you want
Sure.
to read the resolution, please?
I will indeed. All right. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Argyle Independent School District is authorized by Texas Education Code 11.151 to govern and oversee the management of public schools in the district, and whereas under Texas Education Code 11.151C, all rights and titles to the real property of the district are vested in the board and their successors in office, and whereas the district desires to purchase real property for future planned development to accommodate the district's growth and alleviate crowding, and whereas the real property shall be used by the district for a public purpose, including but not limited to providing access to educational programs to public school students. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Argyle Independent School District, resolved that the Board of Trustees of Argyle Independent School District determines a public necessity exists for, and that the public welfare and convenience will be served by the acquisition of approximately 50 acres, more particularly illustrated in Exhibit A. Resolved, it is the intent of the board to acquire the property illustrated in Exhibit A and made a part of this resolution for public use for future construction of public school buildings or related facilities, or any other purpose which may be deemed necessary by the district to carry out its purposes. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes and empowers the superintendent to take such actions and to sign and deliver such agreements and other documents as become necessary and advisable to acquire title to the property.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion to approve item 8A resolution.
Y'all gonna make me do it. Motion to approve.
Mr. Westrom with the motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second. Mr. Rich McDowell with a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to 8B. Mr. Slayton, if you'd like to read the resolution.
May I?
Yes.
Whereas the Argyle Independent School District is a member of the Denton Central Appraisal District and is entitled to cast 44 votes in the election of the Board of Directors in accordance with 6.3 of the Texas Property Tax Code, and now therefore be it resolved by Argyle Independent School District as follows. All 44 votes cast are for Mike Hennifer.
Okay, any questions or comments? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve item 8B as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Matthew Slayton with motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Dr. Leona McDade with a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, Mr. Slayton. All right, donations. You want to keep reading, Mr. Slayton, or you want me to handle it?
Oh, you do great at this.
Okay. All right, November 2025 donations, ABC, fiscal year 2026, number 1, $4,500 for golf balls and range access. ABC, fiscal year 2026, number 3, $329 for tennis team banners. JRE PTA, $1,500 for patrol stories, Red Ribbon Week. JRE PTA, $1,500 for Dennis Lee presentation. AYSA, $5,000 for elementary campuses, chairs, rack, and tables. Lions Club $300 for Argyle West Elementary Red Ribbon Week. Lions Club $300 for Hilltop Elementary Red Ribbon Week. Lions Club $300 for JRE Red Ribbon Week. Lions Club $300 for Argyle South Red Ribbon Week. Jennifer Paget $600 for Argyle South Elementary Snack Cart. Robeson Ranch Women's Club $400 for the choir trip. Empower Chiropractic $415 for Sped Family Movie Night copyright license fee. And Margiotti $250 for Snack Cart. Total November donations $15,694. Does anyone have any questions about the consent items?
A raise for all of the teachers.
All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent items as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Hawksworth, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Mrs. Artho with a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Construction report. Mr. Cohen?
Good evening. We've got Poe with us tonight for their 3-month update that they'll give you on projects. Before he gets started, I just wanted to give you an update on a few things that we've been working on for a while over at the middle school, elementary school site on FM 407. We have now gotten plans approved for the shoulder improvements we've got to do, approved by TxDOT. And we've also gotten signal plans approved by TxDOT and the town. So we're in the bidding phase on both of those to get pricing back so that we can get the contractor started on those, the goal of which is to be open before school, or have it complete rather before school, so they'll be there. In addition, we've been working on a traffic signal there at one of the drives that aligns with Woods Drive. That has also been approved. Excuse me. Wrong thing. Got 3 things, TxDOT. School zone, that's what I need to tell you about. School zone, we've been working with them to determine what the process is. TxDOT has finally responded that that is essentially a process that they and the town together will handle. So that is now finally in the works. They've got some legwork to do. They'll submit some information to the town. Town passes a resolution, then we establish a school zone there. And right now it looks like all the cost is handled by TxDOT. So they put up all the signage, the flashers, should not cost the district. So that is another thing we've been working on for a while, and took quite a while to figure out what the process looked like. And the last thing I've got for you is just to let you know, in December we'll have an update for you on all of our 25 bond projects. We've got a lot of them in the works now. I think 5 separate projects are all in different stages of design right now, getting ready to go out. We'll probably soon be adding a couple more, so we'll give you an overview of those at the next board meeting, so you kind of know what we're doing behind the scenes before we get to the construction reports, where you see the actual activity on the ground. So if there are any questions, I'll answer them, but if not, we've got Pogue here to update you on our middle school, stadium, indoor, elementary school.
Okay.
Lots of things. Good evening.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Jason.
Guess we'll jump right into our stadium, which you guys get a beautiful view of every day. Things gorgeous. It's really coming together. I think our seats will be wrapped up. I would like to mention that a lot of the pictures you guys are seeing are probably 6 to 8 days old when this report was put together, but a lot of the seats are being completed now. Things massive, guys. It's a beautiful project. There's a front view. Some of those front areas are starting to come together now. Metal panels were of a little bit of a delay. But we've worked through some challenges there, and I think we're headed in the right direction now. A lot of those seats are wrapped up, and I think probably middle of next week, a lot of the seats will actually be in place and finished. They'll start working on detailing and finishing your grandstand. Here's the inside of this press box areas. a lot of this has been finished. I think they're gonna be starting ceilings later this week, so, this is moving right along as well. Tile layers are up there working, and we're progressing really, really well. There's a view of the field from the press box. Glass areas in, just more interior finish out work that is being done. Some of the canopies outside. Scoreboard, I think you guys have probably seen that over the last couple of days. The logos are on the sides of the scoreboard now, and we're wrapping that up. I would expect by the end of the week, if weather allows. We don't get a lot of rain at the end of the week that's projected. I think they should be able to wrap that thing up.
The logo panels look great. It's all on there, so.
Yes, ma'am. It's definitely got a presence.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here's the IAC building. Like I said, these pictures are a little dated. There's a lot more work there. And they're going to be starting on the interior fields early next week. So it's progressing really well. All glass is in. A lot of the that you're looking at there, there's been a lot of progress on the exterior of that building in the last 10 days. Just another angle. Here's the inside. What you're looking at there is all that paint has now been completed on the ceiling, and a lot of your sheeting on the interior walls has also been completed. So we're ready for our field contractor to get started on the inside. As we look ahead, we're going to be doing some testing on the stadium and the production system. As Jeff requested, we're probably going to be doing a video of that, so that way you guys can reference it at a later date. We'll be completing our grandstands, press box interior finishes, and like I'd already mentioned, we're going to get started on the indoor activity center of the turf. Any questions regarding the stadium?
So just one small question. As you went through everything, it sounded like, by the dates, things are moving as they should. But the one thing you mentioned were the metal panels.
Yes.
Was that a supply chain issue, or if everything's moving, smoothly, what happened with that one?
Supply chain issue. I think supply chain issue was a part of it. I think our subcontractor had a little bit of a misunderstanding on requirements. I think there was there could have been some better communication from the actual sub to the manufacturer of the wall panels. And then there was some metal wall panels that when they delivered them came off the truck and they were damaged, and we sent them back.
You mentioned that, yeah.
So just in the world we live in, it took us a little bit longer to get some of those materials after they showed up damaged. But when we took it off the truck, it wasn't usable. There was nothing we could do with it.
Okay. And you'd mentioned that in a previous board meeting?
Yes, sir.
The damaged panel, so.
Yes, sir.
So those just, okay.
And Jason, I'm sorry, this date was already set on the IAC, but on the west side wall where the parking is blocked off in the high school parking lot, that side's almost complete with the masonry.
Yes.
And is still anticipated to open that to traffic prior to full completion?
Yes, sir. I think that's probably going to be near the end of the month.
Okay.
That we can turn that over.
Okay.
Here's key milestone dates with the stadium. I didn't realize this page was here, but we've got a substantial completion date right at the end of the year. Sorry.
Yeah, just one more thing I'd like to add here is with that substantial completion happening that late, probably about as we're going on break, we're already making plans to begin training on all of our technology, the video board, the sound, the lights, all of those pieces very early January. So planning to use that time in January to do the training, get people out there to practice with it, make sure they understand how it works, any bugs that we need to address early on. So the goal is right now that sometime in February we are planning to have some soccer games over there. But we need that month of January as much as we can to make sure that we can operate the systems and that they all function properly.
Thank you.
I guess we'll go into the middle school now. It's one of my favorite sites ever, guys. This job's gone really, really well. I'm really proud of the way this site looks. Lots of progress being made. That view right there shows, as you guys look into it, the crew's done a really, really good job. We've got landscaping established on most of the site right now. Usually when you're looking at a building in this phase, the rest of the site doesn't look that developed, and we're really out in front of the game there to where to lessen the impact on our neighbors as much as possible. As you look at there in the courtyard, all of the sheeting on the inside of that courtyard right there has also been completed. We're working on getting the windows around. If you're looking at that from the aerial view there, you can see all the rooftop units are already placed. The masonry is working its way around the building as well, and we're moving really, really well out there. There's just another angle of the building that shows the sports fields that are completed. Our tennis courts are at about 90% currently. There's a better picture of those tennis courts as we get deeper into the presentation here. Just an up front view of the main entrance. Almost every bit of the masonry on those two walls is complete now. Like I said, these pictures are a little bit dated, so as we get the masonry cleaned up there, we'll start cleaning up that dirt work and getting prepared for landscaping on the perimeter of the building as well. Sheathing is done in this area as well, so all of our yellow exterior board has already been placed in these areas. Most of your interior looks just like this still. You can see all your MEPs are installed. We're ready to start coat and block and moving forward. There's a picture of the tennis courts 8 days ago. They're multicolored now. That was a base coat of paint that you're looking at there. The multicolors are put on it. Lights are in, the canopies and the seating areas in the middle have been placed. You're just looking at some striping that's needed done out there. But as you can see, landscaping all the way around it is pretty close to being complete as well. As we discussed, we'll get exterior finishes in the classroom rooms, interior finishes in the gyms and the fine arts area. Permanent power connection is something that we continue to work on. Jeff's partnering and working on that every single day. Bleacher install at the sports fields. And then we have our milestone dates here. So the important one I think that comes up next for us is we'll be dried in at the end of the year. So we'll be working on interior finishes and we'll be dried in at the end of the year, and we have a substantial completion as expected there in July 26th. Any questions before we move forward? Middle school. Last one I got for you is same side. We're moving forward on elementary school number 5. Very minimal pictures, but we're moving already pretty well. Moisture conditioning is done. Our grade work will be finished as of tomorrow afternoon, if all things go well, and we will start working on site utilities very quickly. Our goal here is to get most of our structure built before we turn over the middle school, so we can impact traffic in the least way possible. There's our look ahead. Start working on piers in the near future, near the end of the year. And there's our key milestone dates for the elementary school. February 27th is when we're expected to finish. Any questions? Awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
It's the earliest
Appreciate
we're
it.
gonna have
Thank you,
this.
Jason.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Safe travels home.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my turn.
It's your turn.
Thank you. All right. I think y'all have heard some of the celebrations already, but we are going to talk about a few more. So, a lot of pictures up here. There's a lot happened since the last time we met. Just a few things that I really want to note here is we had football by district champions last Friday night. Congratulations, Coach Rogers and your staff with a 56-0 score over Lovejoy. So we will be playing Abilene Cooper this Friday in Godley at 7 p.m. So Godley has a new stadium, and we're going to be traveling there. And then obviously the following day, we're going to be playing for the state championship in volleyball, as the girls won the semifinal match last Saturday versus Frisco Liberty, and so they will be playing Cedar Park in Garland at 1 o'clock on Saturday for the state championship in 5A-D2. So we're very, very proud of Coach Johnson, her staff, all the girls, and everyone involved in that program. It was a great match, and I hope everybody can come out and see that. If you haven't seen an intense volleyball match, you need to experience that. So we're excited about that, and we'll
emotional.
It is so emotional because it's a high and a low. Just
Very.
rally scoring is something else.
Sometimes you gotta stay right there. You can't get too high, you can't get too low. You gotta stay.
You're the perfect person to explain that. And then so we'll have some sort of a community send-off. I know we're working on some things there on their timing that they depart, but a lot going on Friday over here. We also had band that just recently had Mr. Bird's here this evening as well, and then his staff. So many people involved in that process, and got to go down to, they were at BOA for, 2 or 3 days, and then turned around in San Antonio and had UIL State. So they were there for like 5 days straight with the entire band. It's such an organized, with all the parents and everything that they do, it's incredible. So kudos to the band. They were Outstanding Bands of America, finished in San Antonio, Outstanding Music Performance, Outstanding Visual Performance, Outstanding General Effect, and first place in that division. Went on to Monday to make the finals in UIL State Band in 5A, and ended 5th, and last year we ended 7th. So moving on up in the top 6 there. So congratulations to all of our students and staff and parents in the community on that. Majestics, just that same week before, they were Division I rating, advanced to the finals at TDEA and brought home a bronze medal. Middle school, if you didn't get a chance to see SpongeBob, Aaron and Travis Turek do an amazing job with our middle school fine arts program. Miss Lumsden, I know you were proud, but I got to see the Saturday night performance, and it's just amazing what our middle school students are capable of doing, and what the Tureks and everyone else involved in that organization bring out the best in our kids. And then we had Veterans Day across the district. All 7 campuses had some sort of a program to honor veterans in this community. So just a big thank you to everyone. We had an incredible showing. Every campus was full of veterans, and every campus led in some different format. Lots of music by our elementary friends as they sang, and I know we had the high school and the middle school and the 6th grade center all had some sort of a recognition. Last Wednesday night, we had multicultural night, so I just want to thank Laura Risby, assistant principal at the middle school, Matthew Woody, teacher at the high school, and all of our staff and parents. We had a huge turnout. It was at the middle school this year, and it was shoulder to shoulder, standing room only, so just another huge success on that. We've had state debate also qualify last week. We had two young ladies there. We had Adishra Dengakar and Leah Cha. Both qualified for the state debate meet, and so we're excited about them as they prepare to go down to Austin to be a part of that meet. And then we have a new UIL robotics team that just started this year, and they went to their very first meet and won 3 of their 5 matches, first rattle out of the bag. So congratulations to that team. They are the 0 Point Robotics, and so we're looking forward to Ms. Steele leading that group and doing great things as another UIL competition team. We also had girls basketball. They're 8-0 right now, and we fully expect them to be playing at the state championship in March, but they won the Mavs Fall Classic this past weekend, and Landry Murphy, Lexi Earhart, and Kinsley Best were all tournament, and then Kinsley was MVP. So just a lot of exciting things going on in the district, and want to make sure everyone gets the proper shout outs as we move forward. So exciting time. Just a few other things, announcements. Enrollment and class size updates. This goes in my newsletter each month, but I always like to share it at the monthly board meeting. We are currently, as of Friday, just 10 students off of the demographer's report for Snapshot, which was October 31st, so we are right there. You'll see from a district standpoint, we're very close. We're off a little bit in the high school, and then a couple in the elementary zoning area there, but as far as enrollment in the district standpoint, right on. And as far as our class sizes, they continue to look really good. I know that was a commitment from this board with the priorities and feedback from teachers. They wanted to reduce class sizes, and we had the capability of doing so this year. And so you can see our class sizes. We filled every classroom in every elementary campus, and we're maintaining kind of that 18, 19 range there across the district as far as an average in class sizes. So wanted to share that. Also, we will have our demographer update coming in December. So UIL Snapshot Day, it was October 31st. I mentioned that was a big day across the state. We turned in 1,736 for the Argyle High School enrollment number. And so we're waiting on right now the UIL cutoffs. They'll give those sometime in December as far as classifications, and then we will get the new alignment in February. Just from a historical standpoint, you're looking at about a 1 to 2% difference. That's excellent accuracy. 3 to 4 is good accuracy. So this year, you can see where we are as far as a difference. We are very, very close on a district accuracy. And then we had the high school, we're under a little bit, as well as South. And we're over there at JRE and just a little bit over there at West. So most of those are either good or excellent, and we've continued to have a challenge with really getting that elementary zoning, especially in the northwest portion of the district. We've talked about that since I've been here, and that yield, it continues to change. It's very, very high yield anyway out in the Harvest area, and it's even higher in the Ridge. But that's where we are this year. And then from an 8-year historical standpoint, you can kind of see all but 1 year we were within that 2.5 essentially difference of projection. So as we prepare to hear Zonda's report in December, I wanted to share that historical information as far as accuracy and projections. All right, community updates. So we mentioned Elementary 5. We have the groundbreaking tomorrow at 4:30. And so we'll be doing that over at the site on FM 407. That's open to the community. So hopefully we can have our community out there to celebrate. I've had 14 invitations to side-by-sides this month. And so that's since the last October board meeting. Been in lots of classrooms. It's been great. We did purchase, we talked about that land purchase earlier. It came up. November boardwalks. We had Trustees Matt Slayton and Ms. Artho. Do you have anything you would like to share about your boardwalk experience last week?
They were awesome.
They were.
They're always awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
So, no, I like that this was added a couple of years ago when you came on board, and it really, it helps open our eyes to what's going on with the various campuses. So it's great to be able to visit with campus administrators. It's great to go in and see a couple of classes and see all those kiddos. Well, I say kiddos. Some are very small and some are very large, but it's very enjoyable. So I love my 2 boardwalks a year.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's great that the administrators really open up for us, and they like to tell us different things about what's going on their campuses, any struggles they're having, the good news too.
Mm-hmm.
And just the teachers getting to see them in action is great. I really loved seeing the kindergarten at South. It was a very fun day. It's a good day.
Thanksgiving food drive, you can see a little bit back here, but if we open that wall, it is wall-to-wall Thanksgiving food drive for our families. We had high school students over here all day today packing the family meals, and so we had enough to support 85 families, plus the 100 boxes donated from Milestone Church. So essentially about 420 people will be served for Thanksgiving next week. So thank you to everyone. I know parents and community across the district were donating, and so those are the statistics there for that. And next week is Thanksgiving break for the district. We will have our fall student recognition special board meeting on December 10th. So that's coming up before our next regular meeting. And then the Angel Tree has kicked off, and we're serving 61 families with Angel Tree this year, the 143 students being served. And December 11th is the last time to sign up. So if you're interested in Angel Tree, please make sure and be a part of that. And then we have our Sped Family Movie Night this Thursday night. They're showing Elf, I guess pending the weather, depending on the rain. But that's a first event that's going to be happening out at the front porch at Harvest. And we have lots of concerts coming up. And then Friday we'll have some sort of a send-off, I believe, for the state championship for volleyball. So a lot of things going on. Everybody's probably going to enjoy the rest next week. Some people will still be practicing, right, Coach Rogers? And Coach Westmoreland and Perkins. Everybody else will be doing things, but lots of fun things going on. So,
all right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Hi, Liz.
Sorry, Dr. Daniel could not be here with us tonight, but he has an item here for information tonight for you for substitute pay. There's some information about trying to keep our pool up. It's very important to be able to fill all of our requests for subs. You don't want a classroom going uncovered. It's very difficult. Campus administration has to work very hard if substitutes have not signed up and we don't have a large enough pool in order to cover all of those classes. So he has looked at surrounding pay rates for competitive pay and is suggesting that we go up $10 a day for each category. I do believe that he's looked at about how many subs we would use in a year, looked at that $10 and what it would cost, and it's about $70,000 more into our budget. You do have an item in a little bit that's later on this agenda. That's a budget amendment, and we do have that built in. But this is for information. If you've got any questions, I'd be happy to answer, and if I can't, Dr. Daniel will next month. All right, thank you very much.
I am also Dr. Daniel tonight. So this is proactively asking for 5 special education aid positions. Our enrollment in over the last 5 years has grown about 62%, but that's all students. Our special ed population has grown 82%. So that has increased our need for staffing in that area. So these 5 positions are not currently all allocated, but they'll be there waiting for us as we continue to grow with special education. Any questions? Thank you.
I was looking for you. I couldn't see you. You moved from the side back over there.
I was hiding. So I wanted to give you a little bit of update before we get started here. So after last month, we approved the incentive for bus drivers. So far, right now, Brady has interviewed 12, and he's got 3 new hires. So we're moving in the right direction for sure. Just wanted to let you know that. Just like the buses we bought to you last month, now we're talking about Suburbans. We did a lot of study this earlier in the year and actually hired a consultant to come in and kind of help us with our bus purchases and our Suburbans and make sure that we wanted to get this right. So going into next year, we're looking at getting 6 additional Suburbans to adequately support our academic and athletic teams. They're used a crazy amount. In our spring, especially when you got baseball and you still got soccer going on, and, tennis, and I mean, there's hardly, we don't have enough. Right now we have 10 that are available for use, and so the 6 additional will definitely be able to help our middle school program once we get that established. The cost of these Suburbans will be $382,924.50. And the funding will come from the transportation portion of the 2025 fund.
Does that cost include the recording that's required now? Or is that additional cost, like the audio or video recording in the school Suburbans?
It is additional.
It's additional, yeah. Okay. And are there any Suburbans that are being retired or moved to local only with the addition of this fleet?
Well, we have 11, and one is currently not in use, and we're thinking about putting it on the auction in the spring.
Okay.
It's not even worth keeping. It's, I think, a 99, I believe. It's pretty old.
Okay.
Are these through co-ops?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We've got 2 different companies that we purchase from a lot that are government purchasing cooperatives and drastically cheaper than, I mean, just like we've talked about before when we purchased those Ford pickups. I mean, you can't find one for as cheap as we can get it through the government cooperative, for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We missed one,
Yeah.
AP.
Okay, AP exam. So this is another purchase that's over our threshold, our local approval threshold of $100,000. Technically, this is just a pass-through. We've done this for many, many years where students pay for the AP exam, and we collect the money. It goes into the high school activity account, and then we turn around and pay for the exams out of it. So our first year, it's actually exceeding $100,000, and we're estimating it will be under 120. So that's our max not to exceed on there, but technically it does take board action since it's over 100,000. This would come back for approval next month. Do you have any questions on that? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So this next one is our resurfacing of our turf and our athletic fields at 377 and our track as well. So we've got two different things that we did here. We first kind of got an initial quote from each of our vendors, and after looking at the quotes, we kind of regrouped and figured that we wanted to split it into two different sections and have our baseball and softball as one section, and then our indoor, our football field, and our track service as another section. Because after looking at the bids, we figured we could probably save a little bit money by having it bid this way. So most of the turf usually lasts before you replace it. It's about 8 to 10 years. That's about the life expectancy of artificial turf. We've let this one go 10 years, and it's definitely due for an upgrade for sure. Football field is, I know Coach Rogers is definitely letting me know that it's due because it is getting harder. We do get a concussion test done on it yearly, but it's definitely, it is due for sure. So splitting those into two different sections, we were able to get a really good deal on and save a little bit of money. Our football field IAC and track resurfacing project is an amount not to exceed $1,347, or $1,347,320. And the total cost of the baseball and softball field and batting cage project, we're going to use the part of the existing baseball field to replace the batting barn turf too. So we'll still get some use out of that for sure.
So there is no new turf going into the batting cages.
It's going to be
whatever's pulled off.
Yes,
It's new to the cages.
The outfield turf, I feel like we can
The
still
best possible sections getting put
exactly.
there. Okay.
Right. It'll be new to the batting barn. That price is not to exceed $1,048,545. The total estimated budget included in the 2025 bond program was $4.1 million. This project, the total cost is only just a little less than 2.4, so we felt really good about that price. We usually don't come in below, so it's good.
I assume this is summer.
Yes, and that's another good thing too, that we're having two companies. We've got Paragon that is doing the baseball and softball, and then we've got Field Turf that is doing the football and the indoor. So we've Coach Rogers and I have talked it over about making sure that we've got one always available for use in the summer, because they've got summer conditioning there. So when the indoor is being done, they'll be able to have the stadium field, and when the stadium is being done, one of them will always be usable. So
okay.
How long does that take for the football field?
4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
That's with the turf. Now the track is another probably, I'd say 3 to 5 weeks maybe.
Okay.
And I just want to say I think it's great that y'all are able to get 10 years out of this last round of turf, given the amount of use
For sure.
that those fields get. I think they may get an inordinate amount of use compared to other towns and districts when you see the amount of youth activity that I'm proud that they use and that we make it available to them. And this is a substantial investment, but it when I look at it, I go, it doesn't necessarily just invest and those kids that are in the school and invest in those youth organizations that are getting to use it, that are students in our school,
Right.
but even after school hours and stuff like that. So, you know,
Well, Coach Rogers and I have had a lot of conversations about how many people use it, and he's always pushing for never lock the gates. You want as much of the community to be able to use our fields as we possibly can. That's part of the perk of being an Argyle Eagle. So he is a big time advocate for letting as many people use that as we possibly can.
All right.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay. This next one is your first budget amendment for fiscal year '26. This one is focused on expenses. Typically, we look at our revenue based on our ADA after we've seen the first semester, so we'll bring that back to you if there needs to be an adjustment sometime in the January, February, March timeline, depending on if we need to wait on the 4 or 6 weeks or not to look at that. But again, this looks at particularly two funds, the General Fund 199, and then we're asking you to create a subset of 199 similar to our one-to-one fund. This will be the Student Badge Fund, Fund 197, in order to track that separately and retain it in that fund each year. Some of the large items included in this are substitute pay increases that we talked about just a minute ago, the aid contingency that Dr. Jordan mentioned, some departmental changes and purchase of the K-9 for the police department. So originally we had the K-9 budgeted last fiscal year. That purchase has not occurred yet, so we're asking you to move those funds to this current year. It had not been used. So technically, when you look at the financials for last year, that money's rolled into fund balance, so we're asking to bring that forward. And this is still going to keep us in a surplus budget. Scrolling down on that one. It's okay. And go to the next page. There you go. So here it's broken down by function. So to give you an idea, the sub-pay increases, the aid contingency are both in function 11. There's some adjustments for some special ed services in function 11. There's a reduction out of function 11 for JJAP, and it's moving it down into a function 95, which is technically where it has to be coded. That's a correction on our end that we need to make. There's a small adjustment out of function 11 for a campus budget that's moving into function 13. Function 12 under library services, that is subscription that helps us review our books. The remaining items in function 13 under staff development are some online trainings. Function 41 for general administration is a departmental change to include information and services for a pay data review that would happen in the spring. Function 51, if you remember under the donations a minute ago, there was an item there, AYSA donated $5,000 for some items. That's actually putting the money into the function 51 so that expenditure can be made associated with that donation. And then function 52 all pertains to the K-9, training, purchasing the K-9 and everything that needs to happen in order to get that up and running.
We're going to keep shoestrings away from this dog.
We are going to try to. I believe there's an officer that we can talk to out in the foyer that will make sure that he has that information.
It's going to be awesome.
It will. If you notice at the end of that, though, it adds a little over $300,000 to our total budget. It keeps us in a surplus of $742,000. And then the last page there is just establishment of the Student Badge Fund. Again, this is just for tracking purposes, so that we can keep up with all of the fees that have been paid into Student Badge and set up an account to actually turn around and buy more supplies for those badge supplies. So this will come back for action next month. Do you have any questions on that?
And I just want to, you talked about it in a lot of ways and different functions, but basically what you're saying is we have over $1 million in surplus this year.
That's correct.
And based on some things we've approved that would, to increase aid positions, K-9, substitute teacher pay,
Bus drivers.
you're saying use 305,000 of that surplus, put it in play this year, and we're still gonna be operating at a surplus of about $750,000.
That is correct.
Okay, I'm good.
At this point.
And the reason you're starting the 197 is that's just specifically for students?
It's specifically to track that student badge fee. So we have a similar item that we've used for years, Fund 196, that you see every year. It's a small amount for Technology 1-to-1. It just helps us track it. It all is reported under the general fund technically. So when you're approving this, you're actually approving it as a subset of the general fund. It's just, it helps us track it separately internally.
Okay.
So, all right. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
We are going to talk about the naming considerations first before we get into mascot and colors. They kind of go together, but we're going to talk a little bit about the naming considerations. This process actually goes along with board policy, CW local. And so that policy, we talked about that back in September. We opened up the naming nomination process, left it open through November 7th, which was Friday, a couple Fridays ago. And we had 89 submissions, about 89 submissions, I think, over 2 months is what it ended up being. And then we took those submissions and we reviewed them for the CW local criteria, any documentation, written documentation, rationale for the recommendation, and then we're bringing you a list of qualifying considerations tonight for information only. Just as a reminder for the community and those watching, this is the list of guidelines and criteria for a naming consideration. There's a list of 10 there that you can go through, and we opened that in September again, and the deadline was November. But ultimately, the responsibility for the final decision and any naming rests with the board. So this will be the board's decision at the end of the day. All right, so from an elementary naming considerations, we're going to go through elementary, middle, and high school because we have lots of things right now to look at naming. We broke this into categories of persons who have served AISD and service to children. We've looked at it in terms of those that were nominated from heroic figure, state, national, local, or significant contribution to society and or education. And then just local residential geographic areas or some other significant meaning. So we have the first round, as far as elementary, you're gonna see as we go through the different grade spans, you're gonna see some duplicated names, and you'll kind of understand why as you hear me describe them. We have on here Alex Betholtz Elementary School. You'll see Alex's name come up again. Alex is a 7th grader at the middle school in 2012 who unexpectedly passed away. His family has remained very involved in this community, done an incredible job keeping his story alive. They have had the Shoot for the Stars every May. If you haven't been a part of that, it's a really awesome program that they do. And Alex was very involved in lots of things on campus, and so just as a way to honor that family, and Alex's, that was a nomination we had. And again, you're going to see his name again along with Mary's, his mother's name, in just a moment. We also have Gina Sutton Elementary School. Gina was a longtime teacher at AHS that retired in 2024 actually. She, you know Miss Sutton, she's been all over the place. You still see her at lots of activities, extremely active and supportive in this community, sponsored PALs, taught reading and language arts. I think she started out over at the 377 campus, ended up here at the AHS when she retired. Joy Irwin Elementary. Joy, from what I understand, taught for 32 years in the district, began in 1980 and started first grade herself in this district, graduated from Denton High School in 1967 because that was before Argyle had a high school. And then Michael Ball Elementary. Mr. Ball was a beloved counselor and I think the king of all chess clubs from what I understand in this district. And he retired as an elementary school counselor in 2024. He was at Hilltop for those years. So those are the 4 persons who served in the district as far as elementary. Then we have Beverly Bass Elementary was nominated. She's actually a local resident, first female captain of American Airlines. She's a children's author, has a Broadway musical made about her story, which she was one of the 28 planes after 9/11 that was diverted to Newfoundland when the airspace was closed. And so she has quite a story and a kind of a local aviation story. We have Command Sergeant Major Gretchen Evans Elementary. Gretchen's also a local resident, Purple Heart Award winner, and then decorated combat veteran, over 27 years in the U.S. Army, is a Silver Eagle, and has been heavily involved in our community the last few years. James Pinckney Henderson Elementary, that's Texas's first governor and U.S. Senator. And Ross Perot Junior Elementary, community developer, created all of the part of the Hillwood orientation with big connections to building homes for heroes, which they build mortgage-free homes for veterans and have actually done that twice in our Harvest community out here. So those are the kind of the national heroic, state, local, national heroic figures. And then you'll see here Argyle Central Elementary based on location, as the number 5 will be over on 407. And then Horizon Elementary was given as an idea of looking forward and then honoring continued growth in the district. So those are the elementary names that have been brought forward. From a middle school perspective, you'll see Alex's name there again. He was, like I said, was actually a middle school student when he passed. We had Dr. Quentin Burnett Middle School. Dr. Burnett, I believe, was a superintendent at Argyle from 1998 to 2002, and he led the opening of the first high school there on 377. We also had Gina Sutton's name again on the middle school, and then we also have Mr. Scott Gibson. Started at Argyle ISD in 2006 as an assistant principal and served as principal at Argyle Middle School since 2009 until his unexpected passing in 2024. Beloved principal and friend to many, so Mr. Gibson's name is on there as well. And then you'll see James Pinckney Henderson again, which I mentioned earlier. And then there was a recommendation to retain Argyle Middle School on one of the middle schools, Argyle Central Middle School as location. Champion Middle School from encompassing everything Argyle stands for, Home of Champions, Heritage Middle School, and Summit Middle School. And then from a high school perspective, again, we have Dr. Quentin Burnett, was a superintendent when the original high school opened. Gina Sutton High School, Mary Betz-Holt, that is Alex's mom, and Miss Betz-Holt was also a longtime math teacher in the district, and she continues to this day to serve. She is the reason, really, we started our mentoring program at the high school. She's kind of a founding member of that. And then we also had Sawyer Camilio. Sawyer was a 2012 graduate of Argyle High School and a very talented athlete. Was a volleyball. Her parents actually have a volleyball tournament every year, have really kept her story alive. They're at every volleyball game. You'll see them cheering on the Eagles. She tragically passed during her college tenure playing volleyball at the University of Louisiana, where she was on that team. And so Sawyer Camilio's name is also recognized as a potential high school name. Lieutenant Eric Ellington High School, that is another aviation recommendation that came in. And then we have several kind of from a local geographic and significant meetings. We had Argyle Texas High School, recognizing the location is in the town of Argyle. I think that was even mentioned earlier during public comment, to go by Texas High. Argyle High School, as it was the original high school name. Central as being a location. Champion High School, as I mentioned before, many championships were won at that campus. Freedom High School, Heritage High School, recognizing service as original for the first 20 years of its traditions over there. And then Legacy High School, from a school history standpoint, bridging the old and the new, and honoring the past and recognizing the future. So a lot of really good input from our community on those names for you to have to consider. So essentially, your next steps will be to, as a board, to research, review, and consider the qualifying recommendations, talk about with your community constituents, and then come back in December to consider action for naming of Elementary 5, potentially future elementaries if you should so desire with the recommendations we have. The middle school at 407, the middle school that's at 377 that will move to its new location in 2029, and high school number 2 at 377. And I think considering the mascot and colors, which you'll hear about in a little bit, from a compatibility standpoint.
Okay.
A lot to think about.
That is a lot to think about.
You're welcome to discuss some things now, yes, but you're not making a decision today.
Okay, so that's the first, I guess the first thing I want to communicate to anybody listening there is that this is something that we're going to decide most likely in next meeting.
Correct, in December.
And so, you know, as the community gets the opportunity to review, you know, the nominations for elementary, middle, and high school, as it relates to me, I just invite the feedback. You know, I mean, that's what this month's for. And if you have a real passion about it,
a particular name for an elementary school, middle school, or high school, I'd love to hear about it. If I don't hear about it, then I'm gonna just assume that you think my opinion's the only one that matters. And then just overall, I liked a lot of the nominations that were in there, as it relates to elementary school. 5 out there on 407. I think, I don't know, maybe I should say this because I want the community to kind of know maybe where I'm kind of leaning, so that if they think, hey man, you're off, or I want you to consider something else. I'm obviously familiar with Mr. Ball and what his commitment was to this district and his service and his wife's continued service to the district. The Betzold family and Alex Betzold and his mom, Mary, was a teacher in the district. I mean, they've done so much for the district to keep his legacy and name alive. And anybody that's come across Gina Sutton or Tim Sutton, I mean, you can't help but be just influenced by them. And she stood for a lot of what I think you would want every teacher to stand for, which is she just cares about kids. She just loves on the kids, and she's just an advocate for children, and she's a teacher of the year and did amazing things. So, I mean, those are just thoughts that I would have. I think Central Elementary makes sense from a standpoint of location. We have schools that are named based on their location, Southwest. And, this particular campus is kind of in the Central. So those are names that stick out to me. And I can continue to go. I mean, middle school is interesting because we have, it's kind of like, do we name one or do we name two? And, I guess, the one that jumps out is Scott Gibson, middle school, and his lengthy service to our district. And I think it was it 17, 18, 20 years? I can't remember how many years he was the principal, and he tragically passed away a few years ago. So obviously jumps out as worthy of a middle school name, being named after him. And then the decision becomes, in my mind, do you keep one Argyle Middle, Argyle Central, or maybe another teacher that's has a lengthy history with the district? So I get to do this. I'll talk about high school.
You're not done yet.
Just keep going.
Yeah, this is the one. I don't know if I want to say anything. I guess the one that kind of sticks out is that I've heard and is Legacy High School, like an Argyle Legacy High School. I mean, I've heard the people speak about retaining Argyle High School in Argyle. I mean, I think we had that comment today. I've heard other people say that. There's logic behind that, but there's also complications behind doing that too, because now you're kind of renaming 2 high schools and re-imaging 2, so you got to factor that in. But those are 2 that, I mean, Legacy and Heritage are kind of probably the ones that I give the most weight to, I think. So anybody else want to go out on that limb? Or y'all just gonna keep the community guessing where you're at?
We're gonna let them reach out.
Yeah, let them reach out without me
With
giving
their
them my
opinions,
opinion.
without.
Okay. Well, I'm on record.
Okay, yes, you are. Okay. All right. Well, that leads us to the next one, which I know you all are anxiously awaiting. So, as Mr. Saylor approaches the podium, we have Christopher Saylor here, and I mean, we bring props when we do things. We bring props. But I just want to say a couple things about Mr. Saylor before we get started. Mr. Saylor is our digital content specialist in the district, but We actually challenged him with something pretty big, and that was to take this student experience transition team through the mascot and color process. We gave him a set of data, which was the feedback form, and he ran with it and did an incredible job. So, without further ado, Mr. Saylor, take it from here.
Thank you, Dr. Carpenter. Thank you for your support. It's been absolutely critical. Thank you to the Board of Trustees and Mr. Slayton for letting me come up and speak tonight. I'm honored to be here. And especially great thanks to the committee, to the team. They're probably wondering why did he ask me to be here at 5:30 today?
Because there was so much to listen to.
I really enjoyed working
We've
with
always
them.
heard them say, why are we here?
We don't make them come every time.
Right. Of course, like Dr. Carpenter said, my name is Chris Saylor. I work for Rick Herron of the Communications Department. I've been in the district for 10 years. I've been in the Communications Department now. This is my 4th year. I don't live in Argyle. My children don't go to Argyle schools. We're Denton residents. But Argyle is my second family. And I feel uniquely positioned in this committee to speak in a neutral tone, a way that maybe I could help facilitate this team to make the recommendations, or not recommendations, I'm sorry, the considerations. And I'll get to why I shouldn't say that word recommendation here in a minute. Tonight, I would like to take us through this process. We're going to summarize the feedback that came through the feedback form that was designed by Dr. Carpenter and our communications team. We're going to try to communicate what came through in that feedback form, and then to elaborate on some of the considerations that came out of that. So when we actually stopped and looked at it, looked at what people said, and ran it through the team and their expert opinions and their perspectives, what we came up with as things that we thought that you might want to know as you were considering this rather momentous decision going forward, which I don't envy you. Our team's primary work is to support you. I think that was the clearest part of our mandate. You know, obviously we were not choosing anything, so we were just here to make sure that you have the best information possible about what the community feels and also the expert opinions of our team. Our team members are 9 people in an alphabetical order here. It was Mr. Bird, he's the Director of Bands, Music Arts, Mr. Herron, Chief Communications Officer, Mrs. Hillary Laird, who's the assistant principal now. I always want to call her a gifted and talented teacher, but now she's the assistant principal at Hilltop. Donna Lumsden, principal, Argyle Middle School. Mrs. Knowles is a principal, Argyle High School. Todd Rogers, athletic director. He's not here right now.
He's right behind you.
He
moved on you.
Heather Sayer, who's a teacher at Jane Russman, she couldn't be here tonight, and Mr. Coach Westmoreland, is at a basketball game with the boys basketball team, so he couldn't be here. He's the assistant athletic director, and of course, Miss Holly Williams, the principal at Hilltop Elementary. It's an illustrious and esteemed team whose pay grade is far above mine, and I really would like to once again extend my appreciation for them working with me. It was definitely slightly intimidating. So our timeline it began with the calling of the transition teams that Dr. Carpenter had instituted. She had her feedback form go out in late September, and it ran through the 3rd of October, and that was kind of the baseline, so we had to have that information to even start. I don't know what the community thought, what their sort of gut reaction, their feeling were to new mascot and new colors. And once we had the information, Wyveline, Dr. Carpenter's assistant, Dr. Carpenter, Mr. Herron, and myself went through the data, collated it, and sort of tried to get it into a usable form. Then we took it to the committee and had a lively and interesting discussion about all the different aspects about each one of the different kind of groups of suggestions. And then as part of that, and we'll discuss this in a little bit more detail later, we thought maybe some additional feedback directly from the students was warranted. So the committee asked me to go to our 4 East Zone campuses and speak to the students there in person. At which point, once that process was mostly completed, we actually had our second meeting, which was to begin outlining this presentation. And then between that time and this board meeting, we did presentation design, which led us to tonight. Our role, as we saw it, was not to select a mascot or color scheme, obviously, but to review the stakeholder input, summarize the data, and consider the ramifications of some of that data, and then to present it to you. We like to say that there are 4 options here. They're fairly self-explanatory. It's either to remain with one mascot and the same colors, the same mascot, same colors, and as you can see on the board, so on and so forth. But really, you have 2 choices, continuity or change. And that's a tough choice. The district is obviously growing. The split of the high schools is inevitable. So as you're making this decision, it's all going to be through that intersection. My nifty little graph lines there show that you're going to fall somewhere on that line, depending on whether you want to keep the mascot, change the mascot, keep the colors, or change the colors. So, with our community and student feedback, we sent out that feedback form. And when we sent it out, I just want to make it clear that this was not a survey. It was not scientific, but really we'd like to think of it as an opportunity for community input. It was designed to encourage people to express their opinions and was written in such a way as to do that. And I'll show you a little bit more specifically what I'm speaking about. Not to shape the sentiment, so we didn't sort of construct it to get a specific outcome. And when we were done, because it was a very open-ended feedback form, the data was very qualitative. It required some consolidation, putting terms into buckets and parsing through the data. And I'll show you guys a little bit about that as we go forward. We got the feedback from the East Feeder Zone. We emailed about 1,100 East Zone stakeholders. This would be their families. So the way that our messaging system works is we can point them at 1,100 different student ID numbers, and it will send out to parents, community members, and anyone, like basically to those 4 main groups: community members, parents, staff members, parents, and students. We had parameters in that form, and this is where we were trying to make sure that this form that they were reading to submit their feedback was designed in such a way that it was allowing them maximum expression. You did put the requirement that the mascot must be a bird of prey, that the school colors must include Argyle red as the base color, so that was a precondition. And in it, we had the verbiage that specifically said that, for reference, Argyle High School #1 mascot, the current high school, is an eagle, which is a bird of prey. The colors are red, black, and white. So it was in that way that we did want to mention that eagle is a bird of prey, without sort of swaying people one way or the other.
Flamingo is a feeder bird, not a bird of prey.
And then in there, obviously, the same as the naming committee.
It's a feeder.
I know, but they're young. They just like it. Come on, just like elementary kiddos.
Not one to disappoint anyone.
Obviously, the board of trustees is the final arbiter of what this decision will be. So, additionally, I just wanted to give you a quick rundown of the 4 basic questions, the 4 main questions that were in there. It was, what is your connection to Argyle ISD? And that would be whether you're a parent, a student, community member, or staff in that East Feeder Zone. What mascot do you nominate? And it was like a short form answer, so they could really put quite a few words in there. It wasn't like a multiple choice question. And it must be a bird of prey. what color do you nominate? And it must include Argyle red. And then an open-ended question, which I'll discuss here later. Some notes on grouping. So if we just plugged it into Google Charts, that's what we would get in terms of just the mascot suggestions, okay? There's obviously tons of variation in what people wrote, and we have to group things together. So for example, when people write hawks, they could put a whole variety of different things. They could say red hawks, war hawks. They could put a space between war and hawks. There could be typos for hawk. When they write colors, I'm going to assume that glad meant gold, and that pupa was purple. You know, so we had to combine them into usable things. So that does mean that in the later parts of this, as I show you some of the color combinations and we think about the mascots, that this doesn't say that you have to choose only hawks. It's just that, generally speaking, hawks was this bucket with this many people using that term. There were 512 responses to our survey. The majority, 75% of which were either future students or the parents of future students of the Argyle High School that is going to be on 377. And then the remainders were obviously staff and community. The results, as we sort of tabulated them and put them into buckets, were that there were 144 people who put some form of gold or yellow in there. 167 people chose some kind of blue. Now, this breakdown of 86, 58, and 23 doesn't mean that 23 people chose that specific color of light blue. That just means that when I was going through the data and I saw something that was on the lighter shade, I would put it towards that. If it was more towards the darker shades, I'd put it towards navy, so that we would have sort of big classifications to put things in. There were 79 people who chose a silver color, and 73 who, that's not red, that's actually retaining the current color scheme. And the reason it's just red is because there were a lot of people who put essentially red, white, and black in some order, and then maybe occasionally would throw in, they would say, and if I had to choose one, purple. And so we counted them towards this group just because it seemed like they would fit more into that bucket. And then the ones that didn't fit into that bucket, that we either were questioning whether they would choose one or the other, or were just completely in a different direction, like purple, green, or yellow, or orange, I mean, and didn't necessarily get more than 1 or 2 votes for that, went into this last category, which is a catch-all at 49. For the mascots, the main groupings were hawks, falcons, and eagles. They dominated the run. Now, like we said before, those individual categories could be broken down into a variety of subcategories, right? But generally speaking, those 3 are the main ones. And we had some really fun ones that as we went down. We had raptors, owls, phoenixes, we had buzzards. My favorite's the dodo. And after the questions of mascot and color, there was one final long form answer that they could choose to answer in there, which was to briefly explain why they chose that mascot and color combination and what it meant to them in the future of the new Argyle High School. And with that data, we went through and we did a word analysis of it and tried to find, by weeding out things like and for and the, we tried to figure out what common terms people were using that were meaningful terms. So strength, community, unity, and legacy took top. That was like what most people were writing in there, followed by pride, tradition, excellence, and heritage, honor, and growth. And it's just came up time and time again, particularly strength and community. And so once we had all of that sort of collated and put into buckets, we took it to the committee and we sort of talked about what that actually meant. They evaluated the feedback that this basically the same presentation in an earlier form, And they considered each of those buckets of responses through their lens of expertise. So for instance, the athletic director and the assistant athletic director might have an opinion about what that actually looks like to choose a specific color. And we'll have Liz Stewart, who is very generous to fill in for Coach Westmoreland, come up and talk about that. And like I said before, that they had felt that more feedback was warranted. One of the reasons was because the feeling on the ground, the pulse on the ground, was very much sort of up in the air in terms of compared to what the survey said versus what they were hearing. It was just a lot of noise. So they really wanted to hear from the students. So we got with the principals and we made class or actual visits to the school where we engaged the students directly in a small group, sort of a focus group type of setting. And it was with 5th through 8th graders in the East Zone at Hilltop South, SGC, and AMS. The students that were selected were primarily selected, they tried to select them from a variety of different backgrounds, athletic, fine arts, gender, and from the grades were all set because, we had like the 6th grade center. The 5th graders were the ones we got from the elementary school. And we had them work through a school spirit workshop. Now, they filled this out, but we didn't really collect any kind of data from it other than just to kind of read through them and get a feeling to put our finger on the pulse of it. It was really designed to stimulate a conversation and discuss with them and kind of get an idea of what the students were saying. And we took them through several different worksheets. We had them sort of choose what we were saying, continuity and change. We were sort of having them put their opinions on, not their opinions, but fill in on that little graph, sort of where they fall there, choose which kind of mascot ranking they liked, and so on. And we had a lot of fun with it. It was really entertaining for me. They had a lot of really interesting things to say, and I was frankly very surprised by the high level of engagement. They just did great. There was absolute full participation, and the students' feedback was extremely strong. And it got me thinking that really at the end of the day, the more people you ask about this question, the more opinions you're going to get. Everybody, their friends have different opinions from each other, age groups have different opinions, and they're all strong. And Dr. Carpenter then had me go in one final presentation myself, which was at the student superintendent's student advisory council. And then she presented the information at the teacher advisory council. I believe she wanted to say a little something about that student advisory council meeting and feedback from that.
Yeah, so the students, it was interesting. We had a chance to meet we have 6th through 12th graders, and so obviously there are students, some of them won't be impacted at all, and some of them will be. I think the thing that we just kind of opened up the floor and asked them, what's your feedback of this presentation and this process? And they were very high level. They talked about, they felt like it was very much direct engagement, very transparent process, that it was not a leading type of activity where we were trying to get people to choose a certain thing. They felt like it was very clearly represented, and that if they really at the end of the day, we're all Argyle ISD, and so they felt like the process gave that kind of scenario and that story. They felt like we needed to change at least something. There's needed to be some sort of identity at the new campus, and they felt, which I thought was interesting, the very last one, which was very, very good comment, was that the name of the school really should impact the mascot because how it sounds matters, the way it flows. So I thought those were all very important things from our students.
Yes, very extremely critical. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the name of the game, is considerations, right? It's like just like the land purchases, mm-hmm. just like the naming component. It's 10 trillion details that you have to think about when you're making a monumental decision like that. So good luck with that. When we went and evaluated sort of all the feedback together, we did come up with the same sort of vibe that Dr. Carpenter was alluding to, which is that We have many perspectives, but we certainly have a shared vision, and the students themselves showed that. I think that they were extremely positive about the change. There was no bickering, there was no negativity about one decision over the other, only a preference that we keep a sort of a school spirit. Our last page of the student workshop was for them to sort of circle words that they felt like represented Argyle, and almost always school spirit was one of them. Argyle vibes was also one of them, and so that was just really good. It was really positive to hear. And so once we had all that, we came together again. We made those had our discussions about things. We made the presentation, and we are now coming to you with the considerations of our committee member. And to do the practical considerations, I'd like to ask Liz Stewart to come. Oh, she's right here. I lost her. Oh, there she is. Thank you,
She's standing
Liz.
in for Coach Westmoreland as he's over there hopefully winning a basketball game. Oh, excellent. Yay. Oh, you know what? He could get over here just in time.
Hey, we can skip this slide and let him get here if you want to. Just some practical considerations. He had talked to some vendors about their input on color availability, what's a stock color versus a custom color. Some of the feedback was gold is a little more challenging. It's not always what would be considered a stock color, it's more of a custom color. So the tone of the gold tends to change a little bit, what's available from year to year and what you can get on your uniforms and different things. Silver gray is very close to our current colors. You see a lot of that in our accents, a lot around our buildings. And then the other feedback was that blues were a little easier to match. Those were considered stock colors and not as much custom colors, and they tended to stay the same year over year as far as availability. So that was some feedback from vendors. Some other practical considerations. This is not an exhaustive list. This is just a list of some schools in the area that may have one of the Falcons or Hawks or Eagles, or they may have one of the colors. So, like Dallas, obviously they're green and white, but they're Falcons. They're close by. Birdville, green and gold, but they're Hawks. Again, close by. There's Hebron Hawks. They're royal blue and black. I'm not going to read them all to you, but you can kind of catch the theme. Again, it's not an exhaustive list. It's just some other things to think about of what's in the area and what's already out there and the different combinations.
One you didn't include on there was Aubrey. Aren't they this? I mean, this jacket that is looking right. It looks like an Aubrey jacket.
But yes, they are a red and a blue. I'm not sure if they're royal or navy.
It looks like that jacket right there.
Yeah. There you go.
Is that an Aubrey jacket? Yeah. Okay, I'm good on that then. I know where I'm going. Never.
The jackets were from Justin's. Mr. Justin Ray
Yes,
lent us those.
that was very nice of him to bring those over.
He's a really great partner to the district and high school. And we said, do you guys have any props for us to bring to here? It's interesting, from a color perspective, sorry, I prefer to be moving around during presentations. It is interesting that from what we do in our department, which is a lot of digital design and artwork, that color matching is a really big thing. It's a huge thing to think about. Matching this color and this color would, in my professional opinion, be much more difficult. Now, obviously other schools do it, but it's just something to think about. It's a component to it. Even matching red, you look at the three jackets that are here, the reds are actually all different between them, whether that was intentional or not. Okay, so for the next part of this, I'd like to ask Mrs. Lumsden to come up. She's on her
Lumsden.
7th Dr. Pepper right now.
I need the 7.
Oh, you need the 7.
My first question is, I know you all have blinking glasses, so I don't understand where they're at.
Oh yeah, we should have brought our props.
I'm very confused, very confused.
Wasn't on the agenda.
Okay, I apologize for that. I'm not really here to advocate for a certain choice for you guys to make, but just to thank you for taking the time and input, and Dr. Carpenter for making us so organized and how that we put things together. Chris, the things that he brought to our students were so fantastic. I don't know how many of you spend a lot of time with 1,000 middle schoolers, but I do every day. And when you get a few of them in a room and you ask for an opinion, a lot of time they're just going to look at each other and they are all going to say the same thing. So the way that he brought it to them, they filled it out and he talked about each part individually. And then he went around the room and said, what did you pick? And they went around. And it was very rare that this person said what the person before them said. Like, they all had different answers, different opinions, and they were free to give those. I had coaches, theater, choir, band, our math and science coach, helped me pick students to make sure that we had students that represented all kinds of students. And then we had in our group what would be the first graduating class too, so I think that their opinion is very important. I do think we need to be careful with subtle, because subtle can be confusing. So, stay the same, change. I want to make sure kids have an identity that they can grab onto, because that's important to the kids, and that's what came out in our talk. Not only did they all share their opinions, but they supported each other. They'd be like, oh yeah, that would look cool. Like, they said positive things to each other instead of tearing each other down for not agreeing. But at the end, what really came out is they just want to know. They just want to know, what is it going to be, because they are ready to get fired up about it. And that's the way I feel, and I think that's how staff feels too. Whatever you pick, we're going to have pride in it, we're going to own it, we're going to run with it, and we're going to love it. But just try to pick something that our kids will be fired up about, which would probably be almost anything, except for not a dodo bird. And I think next we're going to put up Coach Rogers' 8th grade graduation picture, and then he's going to give some perspective also.
There it is. You see my grandchildren, I'm the blonde-headed one on the first row right there. Okay, I'll try to stay as neutral as I possibly can. So, Argyle's history is very unique, and it's got a great perspective. Obviously, before I ever got here, they were making all these same decisions. With those decisions, they took community input as much as they possibly could. I'm sure it migrated towards Eagles because of being associated with North Texas to some degree. But they did choose red and white. I added the black. Okay. It was trim on the uniform, but we said, hey, let's put some black in it, and we went down that road. In regards to what we discussed, I think the most important thing is it has nothing to do with mascot. I think it has to do with finding your identity, connecting to that identity, and I think that it's important that you use that. We use a different slogan a lot. It's always something a little unique, odd. We're using eyes every, earn your Eagle Sunrise, and we do that, but it really all means the same. All 23 years, you could all put it in a basket, and it all builds pride, culture, and unity. And the culture we have, it had to have a starting point. And I think if we look going forward, there's a couple of things that they want me to talk about is regards to let's find something, let's connect to it, and let's make it their own. And that's the most important thing that I can share today, is giving this new school something of their own. I'm afraid, all right, that if we try to parlay it with one big umbrella, I feel like I'm in the Louisville School District. It was Louisville Marcus when I worked there, and we didn't want that association with that, right? So we wanted to be Flower Mound Marcus. We wanted our own identity. Now, I don't know if that's a good correlation. I Googled and put it in ChatGPT, what about conglomerate companies that had to break up into different names? And were they able to break up into different names and still maintain their identity? And to the T, they did. And so it was the basis, it was the underlying structure of the companies, so it didn't have anything to do with the name. And I think we're right there. I think somebody might describe that as, I was born standing on third base. That's somebody that was a little bit ahead. I think we're far down the road with being ahead. I just think we need to choose a good mascot, choose a school name, and then run with it and make sure we're supporting that group of kids with that type of culture that we already have, and the hiring of the good people, and the establishment of picking something and then running with it. The slogans, the mascots, the tweaking, all those coaches. I can just imagine all my coaches looking at that, come up with a shirt that's going to support that mascot. That is the energy that we're going to need when we take over that building. I mean, she wants that. She wants that, all right? She's just living over there, all right? And she's wanting that kind of energy because she wants the identity of it. And I think the mascots are going to be important. I just don't want it to distract I'm not advocating for two eagles, is basically what I'm saying is, because I want it to be not part of something, all right, somebody else already has. I want it to be its own. And I didn't want to do that, but I failed, all right? I'm sorry, all right? But I have a hard time lying, okay? Anyway, I want this school, all right, they're already got some really good things in place. We're going to get over there and we're going to get it energized with something that's unique in their own. And I think the mascot is going to play a critical role in that in regards to the school name and that mascot going and picking the colors and then riding fast. And I think the presentation, when I sat in it and I listened to it and I listened to all the feedback, I loved all the feedback. The feedback was great. I mean, everybody is the energy in the feedback fired me up. And I think that we need to use that and go forward with it. Are we going to make everybody happy? No, we're not. Are we going to make a lot of people nervous and anxious going forward? Sure. Are they going to be okay? Yes, they are. Because we're just going to keep going, and it's going to be great, and they're going to get behind it, and it's going to be unique, and it's going to be awesome. I'm sure in the late 90s, okay, I know there was a mayor that was against having Argyle High School, right? And it was a 4-3 vote, if my sources tell me correctly. Wow, it ain't a 4-3 vote right now. It's 7-0 vote, and all right, and we're headed down a different path. And I think we have the community support. Okay, look how young Argyle South is, and we got 5 ladies walking in here talking about bang. We got everybody. That every kid's got a parent that belongs to the PT. It's not PTA. What they call it? PTA. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. So everybody's riding for the brand. You just need to know what the brand is. Okay. And we're close. We're 1 month out. You're going to get tons of feedback. And you're going to have some really good ideas, and it's going to be very supportive. Okay. Anything that I missed?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Rah-rah-ree. I've been up 16 hours. We're good.
Thank you to you both. That was exactly perfect and wonderful. Thank you. Well, so you've now heard from the committee, and we've gone over some of the details of the feedback form. We've heard from the expertise and Coach Rogers, who's shifted on me again. And we need to talk about what's on the horizon, because whatever decision that you make, obviously it does have downstream effects. And I don't need to tell you that, because you're well aware of it. It's just whatever decision is made today should be taken in the light that we don't know exactly what is going to happen in the future. And we just know that we will have future Argyle schools, which means future Argyle students. And we need to consider whether the names and the symbols and colors that we create for this East Feeder Zone, if they will be appropriate as the district continues to grow, and how those choices reflect the interest of future students. And I think that what hopefully has come through during the presentation is that above all, no matter what decision is made, the mission, vision, and core values of Argyle remain at the heart of every decision that we make. And I think Coach Rogers is absolutely correct that we have the support of the community. So that's all that I have for you. Of course, I'm available for questions, and the committee as well. Thank you all very much for your time, and I hope that you don't have too much of a hard time making this decision.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that was
Very
great.
well done.
A lot of time spent on that. A lot of good work.
Any questions, thoughts?
So current colors right now are red, white, and black, correct? Over here?
Yes.
Okay.
I just great. There's a ton of information that we have to make a decision
Yeah.
on. So thank you for that. All of you, thank you for your time and energy and adding to your already daily task of duties.
So Coach, at Marcus, their letter jackets were red and gray. I don't know if they still are, but their colors were red, black, and white, correct?
And markers,
Yeah,
red and silver.
red and silver.
Ohio State.
Okay. All right.
Do kids even wear,
Never done the color.
do kids wear Letterman jackets anymore?
We certainly buy them.
I know that. I bought them. I bought them. I just never saw them in the
Yeah,
closet.
I see kids wear them. I mean, I don't, some,
Depends on the season.
in some
okay.
communities, some kids wear them more than others, it just depends, but yeah.
It was 80
I mean, it's still 80 to 5 degrees right now in November, so,
Okay. Well,
and they're awfully heavy.
so I always think I just want to give the feedback so I can get feedback. Again, this is just like the names, and I think this process is, to present this information is really for us to make a decision in a month, and in that month solicit feedback if people have strong opinions about and passion about it. As it relates to me, I'm open-minded about where we go with this. If it was just me, we would look like Notre Dame Fighting Irish, because I don't think everybody agrees they have the best uniforms, navy blue and golden dome helmets. I don't think anybody would argue that. I just don't know how you work red in there. But so those are
Bald eagles.
Huh?
You want to be bald eagles?
That's fine. I'd go with that. I couldn't do hawks because that reminds me of somebody. And no, I'm just
Come on.
I just can't. But no, I'm open-minded about it. If I read some of the stuff on social media, the legacy Golden Eagles was kind of an interesting perspective because it kept the tradition of Eagles. It had kind of rolls off the tongue well. I think that was in the presentation. I think people also heard people say,
Yeah.
golden sounds like you're old, and I hear people say golden sounds like it's hard color to make, and I heard other people say gold is offensive. So I don't know. If you fall in one of those categories and think that's terrible, I'd love to hear the feedback.
He already told you no to Golden Eagle.
Oh,
That was in the presentation.
That was in the presentation.
well, I like it. These letter jackets didn't do you any good because I don't like any of the light blue and red and.
Golly.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris.
Don't
See-
worry.
You see what we
And that
do
looks
with-
like Aubrey over there. And
Chris,
I mean,
he's gonna take a trip to Jostens and go look.
I do. I mean, I like the Ole Miss colors. I thought that was a good argument, or a good point. So I don't know. I'm open to hearing what people want to do.
It's the Puma dodos.
Yeah, not that, but
Well, you get a chance to hear from them then.
and if I don't hear from them, then I just assume you just think you're good with my choice.
That's it.
Okay.
And by the way, I think the kids will be fine. Not so
Yeah.
sure about parents. Kids will be fine.
Kids will be fine.
Yep.
Everybody will be fine. It's just going through the change and going, getting that
That's
mental
good stuff, good conversation.
place.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Appreciate you
Taylor.
very much.
Thank you all.
Great job.
Thank you for getting the samples, they were much appreciated.
Yeah, they were. They really helped me rule some stuff out.
It's like USC.
But yeah, USC.
I was gonna say thank you to the committee and
Yes.
all
It's
of
like
you
the
that
thriller
are here,
jacket.
presented, gave some input. It's really very much appreciated. Love hearing from the kids, loving, Coach Rogers, the whole idea of the legacy and the past and all that, because that is so very important, as a consideration. But I appreciate all of you serving. It's awesome. Thank you.
All right. So, here comes your dance wellness.
Oh, is this where we get to make my
Don't.
motion?
He didn't know.
He did. He was so very prepared.
Oh my gosh.
Bringing back new courses for 26-27 school year for action tonight. There's three main reasons. There's a course on the new course list. One of them is student interest. Another one is to finish up CTE pathways, and the last one is because of some sort of change that TEA has rolled out with the name of a course or a new course to be added or replacement. So those are the three main reasons. There's no changes on this from what I presented last month. Do you have any questions for me?
I'll entertain a motion to approve action item 12A as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Matthew Sladen, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I thought I was going to get to discuss.
Second.
But
Dr. Leona McDade with a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
So again, with these bus purchases, nothing's changed since last month. 16 new buses. The cost of these will be $2,548,252. Funding will come from the 2022 bond. It's the remainder of the transportation fund, I believe, in that bond. And we really recommend purchase these buses.
Anyone have any questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve action item 12B as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Hawksworth, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Artho with a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Yellow dogs.
I think this is the last item tonight. So,
You were the first item, and now you're the last item.
that's right. So this is same as last month. There hasn't been any changes. This is the staff device refresh for MacBooks and iMacs for staff use. This is part of the annual technology budget for the 25-26 year and is included in it. Do you have any questions?
I'll entertain a motion to approve action item 12C as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Matthew Slayton, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Rich McDowell with a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, under the authority of the Texas Government Code 551, Subchapter D, the board will now go into closed session at 8:52 p.m. for 551.074 personnel matters and public officers, and 551.082 student and employee disciplinary matter or complaint. When the board returns from executive session, there will be no further action taken. Thank you.